Thank you, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon or good night, whoever is joining us from whichever side of the world. And today we are going to talk about Microsoft Data Loss Protection. And today we have Sergey Chubov, who is going to help us understand the topic. And he is a Microsoft MVP in Azure and a Microsoft certified trainer, as well as the regional lead. So he is going to take us through the security things and on data loss protection, what it is, and how you can get started. And with that, I'm done. But I just want to share that the session is recorded. The recording will be provided, and there is certificate of participation at the end of the session. So feel free to join the community so you can update or get the update from the upcoming sessions. That is all. Again, thank you for joining, and I hope you have a great session. The stage is all to Sergey. Over to you.
All right, just in case, we have 1 hour, right?
Yes.
Okay. So welcome to the session. I should be very quick because number of things we should discuss. I'm here on the trip, not at home. You can see my surroundings, but I have 3 monitors. Like at home, I have more. But anyway, so what we're going to do in the next hour, I'm going to show you different DLP solutions that Microsoft has. It is not really possible to show you everything, but I'll try to show as much as possible. If something's not possible, I'm going to at least explain. I'm a big fan of live demos. So what you may expect is you won't see many slides. To be fair, my presentation will be quite generic. My slides will be quite generic. Mostly I'll focus on live demos. If maybe you participate in my session a year ago or something like that about conditional access, and I'm going to keep the same approach when I'm going to show you many things. Please keep in mind, when I do demo, I'm trying to show something as quick as possible. So not always following best practices, like give like a name that must mean something and so forth, because I'm trying to do it quicker. And because of course in the real world you should be more careful with some of the details. All right, so from here I'm going to start show you first slides. As I promised, you won't see many slides, but the first slide will be about me, of course. So my name is Sergey, or Sergey if you like. I'm a consultant, instructor, speaker, MVP. To be fair, I have two categories. One is identity, another one cloud security. Microsoft constantly change names and categories, so they will be changed again, I think. So in security, you may think about like I'm in security. You can even find my T-shirt. I'm in security. I'm a big fan of offensive security, so I have many pen testing certifications, like how to compromise things. And the most important, what I prefer to do, I prefer to really show some hands-on stuff. So what we're going to do in this presentation. So first of all, I'm going to make a quick look on DLP, what it is, like quickly explain you DLP. Then we're going to take a look at how we can first classify data before we start to use DLP. Then most of the time I will spend on the policies, DLP policies, and demonstrate those policies to you. And finally, DLP, that's about data protection. But DLP violation should give you some kind of alerts, which should be investigated later on. So you may have like integration and cooperation with other teams, because those alerts need to be investigated, and that's where security operations come into play. But again, most of the time, mostly in this session, I'm going to focus on policy management and show you like different DLP for different locations. So how you can protect your Office 365 documents and so forth. All right, so first, couple of words about DLP. Maybe you haven't heard before, just in case. So Microsoft Purview DLP. Also, by the way, the word purview, nowadays Microsoft use word purview to explain different compliance services. So when you see purview, you may think about of that like compliance, something about compliance. So DLP here is not unique. You may find many other services with this prefix DLP, but it means they are all from the compliance family, from the compliance family, like family of products. So Microsoft Purview DLP is a cloud-based data loss prevention or DLP solution that helps organizations identify and protect sensitive data. It may use some static analysis. It may also use some like more intelligent machine learning, natural language processing to analyze data sources and identify patterns that may indicate sensitive content. So what is interesting, the DLP of like many other Microsoft services, DLP is really integrated to other Microsoft services. Initially, DLP was just a part of Exchange. Exchange Server, then Exchange Online. So it used to be just like a feature of like big product, and over time it became the separate product, like that just integrates with other services. So, what is important about DLP? One of the big mistakes that company may do is to start to use DLP right away without understanding which data is sensitive and which data is not sensitive. Because the problem is, or just a fact, that you cannot really protect everything. So, and it doesn't make any sense. So I like this example, like to give this example, like if you have a small restaurant, you do have a menu that must be shared. I mean, must be public. Your customers should be able to see your menu, should not be protected. At the same time, you may have some recipes from, I don't know, from your grandma, or from a grandma that you don't want to show to anyone. So you don't want competitors to know your secret recipes. That's the data you need to protect. So again, we have different kind of data, and even small companies have different kind of data. When we're talking about large companies, those companies have even more, and it's even more complicated to differentiate which data we need to protect and which data we should not protect. So that's why we need to first find out which data is sensitive and what we call classified data. I don't want to go deep into that because otherwise I will spend the whole hour only on data classification. But just think about this like a prerequisite for DLP. Yeah, of course, you may use in DLP features in some very, very specific scenarios without data classification if you want to configure some kind of restrictions between two partners, I mean, between you and your partner, and you want to catch up specific words. It is possible. But really to scale this product, like product service, to your organization data, you must classify this data first. So let me quickly show you where can you find this data classification. And then we're going to take a look at DLP itself in more details. Again, data classification, it's there by its own. And I can really spend more than an hour just talking about data classification, but again, it doesn't make much sense to spend the whole webinar on that topic because you subscribe to something different. All right, let me drag the window with a portal. And the window we're looking for is Purview portal. By the way, this portal is quite new, so you may find the older portal like compliance.microsoft.com, which you may still use maybe. And here on top, you will find that this portal will be deprecated by the end of this year. So you still have like a few months, but eventually this portal will be deprecated. So it makes sense now to switch to the new portal. To be fair, since I work with this portal, with the old portal for a longer time period, it's still more convenient for me. But if you haven't worked with that before, maybe starting from the new portal right away will be a better idea. So it will be like adaptation will be quicker. All right, so let me switch to the new portal. And here on the new portal on the left, I can find solutions. And here I can find data loss prevention. Click here. And what you can also find that below DLP, you may also find classifiers. To be fair, in the old portal, it looked like it was the separate menu. So data classification you could find separately from DLP, separate from information protection. But on the new portal, you may find them grouped together. So if you go to DLP, you also see classifiers there. So probably because, again, that's one of the prerequisites for DLP. So let me quickly show you classifiers. So here we have 3 types of classifiers, at least what we can see on this on the portal. So if I can find here trainable classifiers. If you remember, we talk about machine learning stuff on the slide that so trainable classifiers, they are based on the previously learned data. And quite often trainable classifiers, they classify data more generically. So like, if you look at the trainable classifiers, come on, okay. So you may see here the classification of data, maybe like agreements, base statement, budget, business plan, and so forth. So it's not really specific type of agreements, but I mean, this one agreement. It's not a specific type of agreement, but just agreements in general. So of course we can build our own classifiers, which will be more specific. But in general, if you take a look at the built-in trainable classifiers, you will find they're like a bit more generic compared to other classification types. Second one, which we use even more often, most of the time, is called SIT, or sensitive information types. So if I click on that, I will find here very specific types of data. They're mostly based on something like regular expressions and functions, keywords as well. So they are a bit more specific, not just agreements, but very specific type of documents. So it may be Australia bank account number, not just a bank accounts, like it could be trainable classifiers, but more specific. I can scroll down and you can see here many different SITs. Of course, you can create your own SITs by building regular expressions and specifying also keywords. So SIT, I would say that's the one when we usually start, and the most commonly used is SIT. Of course, trainable classifiers are also available, but it takes a bit longer to build them because it requires some of the number of things need to do. So please check the articles. Please check Microsoft article. So let me just quickly go to my favorite search engine and show the article, sensitive information types, definitions. So here you may find an article about SATs, how do they work, so for it. What you can also do, if you click on the get started, oh no, not get started, reference. And here I can find all information types, a list of them. And if I scroll and I can find out the one that I like, depends on the country you live. So for example, currently I'm in the United Kingdom, so I can click on the UK national insurance number. And here I can find the format and the pattern I use to build this sensitive information type. So some of them are like quite nice. Some of them give you more false positives. So it really depends. I mean, they're all more or less nice, but can give you more or less false positives. So here you can read the rule. It's not really complicated to read this rule, and the rules are pretty well described, so you can understand how they work and what should be detected and what should not be detected. You can also test them. If I find this, let's say UK, it's Nino. So if I take this Nino, and there's a button called test. So I prepared a document that I would like to use in my upcoming demos. So let me really quickly test this document. Let me click on upload, go to downloads, and let's see if this document contains any of the matches. And look at this. So now it says that UK national insurance numbers, or NINA, were found in this document. What is sensitive? What is the confidence level? I don't really want now discuss with you. Just please read that, because that's that's all of the. You need to do it anyway if you want to learn about DLP. You need to go deeper into sensitive information types. But the fact, we found matches. So this document definitely contains national insurance numbers, or NINO. I will use the document for my upcoming demos. All right, I hope it was more or less clear that data need to be classified. One more thing about the data, you may say, wait a second, how can I find what kind of data I do have, what kind of data I don't have? So there are a number of tools. For example, the classic one tool is Context Explorer that we worked for a long time period. So Context Explorer can show you the content you have on your OneDrive, Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, and how this content can be classified potentially. So you may see here, I have Nino numbers, documents with Nino numbers in my email, in OneDrive, and so forth. So on the new portal, we have more advanced tools, which look a bit similar, but have a bit more features about the search and filters and so forth. All right, and you can see here down below, by the way, how also they can be classified with trainable classifiers. So we need to classify data. We need to understand which data is available, which data we have. After that, we can really start working with DLP. So in DLP, DLPs, they are based on policies. They're based on policies. Can't really understand anything. Because of what? You can't understand anything. If you can clarify what you mean here, then yeah. All right. So DLP itself. Now our primary topic, DLP. We want to create the DLP from policies. I mean, when they have DLP, we must create policy. So policy, they are based on templates, or you can create your custom policies. Let's see where we can find those policies. I can go back to DLP. This time, I will go to policies. Here you can see my list of my policies. I'm going to show you those policies that I already pre-created. I'm going to show you the effect of those policies soon, but now let me quickly show you how policy look like. If I click create policy, here you can find categories. To be fair, I'm not a big fan of using those templates, but if they really work for you, so like you are, let's say, looking for Australian financial data regulations or PCI DSS, then it might work. But most of the time, based on my experience, DLP policy they're based on the customer requirements. And so we really create our custom policy because our requirements are also custom. So that's why I'm going to click custom down below. And the regulation, of course, also custom. And I can click next. So now if I have a custom policy, I can create a custom name, of course. Again, I promise you that names will not be very based on the best practices. So let me call that DLP for demo and click next. So I'm going to skip admin unions. It doesn't make sense to administer somehow. I mean, it's not about that. And now one of the most interesting part, locations. So that's where we are going to have our documents. That's where we're going to protect our documents or something sensitive. One of the big mistakes I found that new administrators or those who just start to work with DLP policy do, what the policy a mistake that you make is you think, okay, the more the more locations I can choose, then better. So if I choose all locations, so probably it will be the most flexible, like the most powerful policies with bunch of effects and so forth. In fact, it will not happen. So the more locations you choose, then DLP will try to give you only those conditions and actions that can work for all locations, which may not be the case. So for Exchange and for SharePoint, we have different conditions, we have different actions. So let me give you an example. If I just leave all those checkboxes and click Next, so next time I need to create a rule. I will talk about that slightly in more details soon, but just let me quickly give you an example. If I click on conditions, when I have all the checkboxes ticked, then it gives me only condition called content contain. Content contain. And if I choose content contain, then I can choose sensitive information types. Not too much. And in actions, I have several actions as well. So let me click cancel here, go back, and now I would like to uncheck all the boxes except Exchange email. Click next, create the rule, and look at this. Oh, look at this. Now we have all conditions specifically available for Exchange. And if I click on actions, I have all the actions available for Exchange. So in that case, if you do that, look, if I choose content contains even, let's scroll down. If I choose content contains, where is that? They choose content contains, yeah. And I click add here, I have more options either, not only information types, not only SIDs, but also labels, trainable classifiers. So again, I'm not trying to say that you should choose only a single location, but I just want to tell that you may have more actions and more conditions if you choose them separately. So at least when you just in the beginning, you just learn that stuff, you should not tick all the boxes. Otherwise, you may lose some actions and you may think, oh, how to do that? There is no such action or condition. It might be there, but you just need to be more granular with location. Very good resource, by the way. Let me go back to slide for a moment. Very good resource. You may find this URL called DLP policy reference. It describes all locations and all conditions and all actions available for each location. So yeah, it's pretty hard reading if you just read this page from scratch. But when you're looking for something specific, this DLP policy reference URL will be very handy because you may find description of all of those conditions, and you may find, okay, this one exists. So at least you can make a search on the page and by keywords and find out that, okay, it should be there. I just need to properly choose the location. All right, let me go back to locations. And let me start to explain you different locations and different effects. So for first three locations, and also I can see here the questions in the chat, like, is it a subscription-based product from Microsoft? Really good question. It's not the only one question, by the way, but that's a question I can see at the bottom. So is it subscription-based? Yes, it is subscription-based, and depends on your license. You may have or you may not have several locations. So the locations I have, I ticked now. So Exchange, email, SharePoint sites, OneDrive accounts. There's a high chance that every company has those locations because that's the part of Office 365 license, E3. So literally, most companies, they do have those those services, those locations. So Exchange email, SharePoint sites, and OneDrive accounts. So now let me show you the effect if I use those locations. Yeah, I didn't show you all the rule, the actual rule, how to create the rule, but at least let me show you the location, and then we'll jump to rules. So first, I'm going to open mailbox of user, and I'm gonna send an email. Let's send email to me, and add some kind of subject like whatever. And let me try to send some kind of slides. Let's say this presentation, DLP. Nothing happens. So it says like, yeah, it's better to upload it to OneDrive, but in general, there are no restrictions. At the same time, let me try to send a document which contains sensitive information, those national insurance number that I showed you before. And look at this. Immediately it showed me that this content is sensitive. And if I try to send it, it says, hey, your organization doesn't allow to send that. So please don't do it. It will not work. Okay, so that is Microsoft 365 DLP. How you can see that on the in Exchange? I mean, in the mailbox. Let's take a look at the on the same stuff, but on the SharePoint. So I mean, OneDrive, SharePoint doesn't matter. So if I look at my OneDrive, and here are also documents with SID. And next to each document, you may find this small icon which says something like "Don't do it, stop." And if I try to share it, like let me click share, so it clearly says that sharing is limited, so I cannot share this document with others. Okay, maybe that's the whole configuration for every document. Let's see. If I click on my files, share for something else, and there are no restrictions, I can share other documents, but I cannot share documents that contain national insurance numbers. So that's what you may find on the location Exchange SharePoint. Again, the actual effect, which I don't allow to share and so forth, we will see in the rules, but here you may find how it works on the location level. All right, so then if we move on, we can find also a location called Teams. Teams chat and Teams channel. To be fair, show this in action quite complicated because that requires me it will block messages that contain sensitive data to external users. So if I have a chat with someone from outside, not from my company, it will not allow me to send sensitive data. And again, that's the reason why it's quite hard to show, because we already have a Teams meeting. So my Teams application already working. Plus, I need to open the browser with one chat and another chat with someone external. A lot of hassles, but generally speaking, that's how it should work. So external users, that if you try to send the message or the document with sensitive information, it will not be allowed because of your rules, because of this location. Here we need another license. We need to have E5 license this time that covers our Office 365. But this time it is E5 license. If I scroll down, I can find a bit more locations. Next location will be devices. So devices, that's where we can go beyond our Microsoft 365, our Office 365. Because previously you may say, okay, but users may not, if users really want to like extract data from the company, they will not use corporate mailbox, they will not use corporate OneDrive. They could, of course, but if they are well prepared, they should not. So they may use, wait a second, sorry. I have one screen that, hey, come on, screen, turn on. Now it should be okay. All right, so you may say, you may say users will not use that. Users may not use. Still cannot get back to life. This guy. Anyway, so it's a word. Users will not use their corporate accounts, right? So they may use personal, and they just take the data from corporate, from corporate SharePoint, download that, and upload to personal Dropbox or whatever it could be, and send it to competitor. It might happen. So what you can do, you may also protect that on the device data on the device itself, on the corporate device. You may say, of course, but what if user use personal device? Here you need to apply more policies to really restrict the placement of documents to personal devices. Okay, from here, I would like to jump back to demo. I mean, not to demo, but to my work. I want to jump to my workstation. And here, let me go to downloads. And here I have some documents that should be sensitive. Like this time let's try. Let's play with PowerPoint. Okay. And I have some national insurance numbers. To be fair, but by the way, here it also tell me that I should apply also sensitivity labels, which is another feature for data information protection. But we're not talking about that in this webinar. So, but it proves that this content is sensitive. But let me try to copy that numbers. Copy. Okay, so I copied numbers. And I would like to paste them somewhere. Let me open Notepad and paste them here. Nope. And it says the organization policy copying while Nina basic PPTX is not allowed. Okay. So it says I need to close it. Okay, let's place that, paste that, close it, paste, and no, nothing happens. So there's no such button to paste. So it didn't allow me to do that. It's not really only about copying. There are other actions, but you will see them when we go into each rules. So far, because I'm showing you locations, that's how this location works. Next location is going to be instances. So this one works for third-party cloud applications that your company also use. So currently the list of applications is limited. Let me quickly show you what you can do here. If I click on instances, I can click next here and click next and click on the rule. And in actions, I can restrict third-party application. Here you may find a number of applications that could be integrated with this. It will be Box, G Suite, Cisco WebEx, Dropbox, and Salesforce. And depends on the application, there are different actions for governance available. So again, we'll see them slightly later. So here, if we have integration between okay, let me say this word between Defender for Cloud Apps, which is another service that must be used. Then we can also govern some of those applications. So this one works through Defender for Cloud Apps, another service which you may find in Security Portal. I think I even have it open. Maybe not. And let me open it up. Okay. Now, if I click on the Cloud Apps, there is a service called Cloud App Security. In the past, now Defender for Cloud Apps, and yeah, that's another topic of a different webinar. But if we use this one and integrate with other cloud applications, so if I click on the Cloud Apps. If I click on Cloud Apps and I can find app connectors, here you may find my integration with Salesforce. So my Salesforce is connected. And now if I have Salesforce connected, I can go back to the portal I showed you before, click on instances, and if I click on choose instance, I will be able to find this Salesforce instance. So this one instances is integrated with Defender for Cloud Apps, which is another service and that also you must have a license for. Okay, there are two more locations, less popular, again, a bit less popular than others. On premises, so you may, by installing special scanner, you may also enforce DLP policies for on premises, for your on premises documents, and also Power BI. If someone sends information appear Power BI, you may just indicate that to user, like, hey, dear user, be careful, those reports contain sensitive information. All right, so now we do have locations, so we learned about locations. Let me tick the boxes here. Maybe here as well. And let's take a look what we're going to do next. Next, we're going to create rules. We're going to create rules. So a rule, that's where we can take conditions and take actions as well. So again, as usual, a rule should have the quite nice and name that explains what this rule is doing. Again, I'm not going to really spend time on that. And what we need to do now, we're going to specify conditions. I'm going to say content contains. There are two choices according to my locations. I'm going to choose sensitive information types and choose Nino. Okay, that was the first condition, and the only one, to be fair. So now no more conditions available. Yeah, I may choose more sensitive information types, but no more conditions are available, again, because of my locations, because of my limited locations. And if I click cancel here, and at least I will uncheck teams, devices, instances, and click next. And now let's try to check how the rule will look like if we have like a basic license E3. So now we have content contains, like more of that. We can choose sensitive information type like Nino. And add one more conditions that users are trying to share content with people outside. And this will apply to Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. So, okay, if users trying to share UK national insurance number with someone from outside, so it's just a pure logic where you can just build and or conditions, then what is going to be the action? What DLP is going to do? DLP, again, according to my locations, it will allow me to restrict access or encrypt the content. And so do I want to block it only for those who are outside or block for everyone? Either way, I'm not going to create this policy because it takes an hour to apply the policy, so you'll not see the effect. So I choose what's going to be the action. What we're going to do next? We need to decide if we want to inform users about that. Most of the time, we would like to inform them, because the goal is not just to, yeah, of course, maybe your goal is some kind of special operation where you're looking for a specific user who's trying to extract data, maybe malicious insider. Maybe not the best tool for find malicious insiders, but if that's your goal and you would like to see like users, you want users not to be aware of those protection. So in that case, you may hide user notification, but most of the time, we enable user notification. We just really want to tell them, hey, dear user, you're doing something wrong. Please fix it. So in here, how are we going to notify users? How are we going to notify users? How are we going to inform them? We're going to notify them through email and policy tips. So you saw policy tip before when I tried to drag it to the email with sense information. I drag it to my mailbox. It just showed me policy tip like, hey, this content sensitive. We can also customize it so you can write any text you want. And that will be our education. Let me show you again, if you don't remember how the policy tip looked like. I'm going to drag my mailbox again. not mailbox, this mailbox. And look at this. All right. So that is user notification or policy tip. What we can also do, we can allow users to override. So that means users can say, I know your policy, appreciate it exists, but I really need to send it. And if we allow override, user can override the policy. Just or not, in other words, user can bypass the policy. Should we allow it or not? That's up to you. So it depends what you want. Um, um, it depends what you want. But it is available. You don't have to enable it, but it is available. And finally, do you remember we talk about? I mean, we'll not yet talk about that. You just see that you saw that in agenda that it may also be integrated with incident management. So what we can do from the violation of this rule, we can create we can send an alert, which will then create incident somewhere in Sentinel or whatever you have for incident management, and that needs to be investigated. So you may create an alert, not just not allow users to send something, but also raise an alert when users trying to do that. And there are some additional options like, do you want to develop priorities? What do you have? If you have a number of rules, how do you want to evaluate them? And so forth. So read that. It's self-explanatory. So how do you want to do it? I'm going to click Save here. Okay, so I have a rule. I can have several rules, but let me just keep the one rule. And let me click Next. And now when I just click when I finish creation of my rule, it will tell me what do I want to do. Like, do I want to turn on the rule right away, or I would like to run simulation mode. So simulation mode will be very handy because in simulation mode, you will not really restrict anything to users, but you will educate them. So you will show policy teams, but you will not block them from sending data. So it will not like break normal work, will not increase number of, not significantly at least, number of requests of the service desk, like, oh, what's going on? Why I can't send my document? At the same time, you will start to tell users like, hey, dear users, this content is sensitive. Be careful. Don't check twice before you send it, and so forth. So first, we can enable simulation mode. After that, there's also extra options to like turn on the policy if not edited within 15 days. So it will automatically move from simulation to enforcement mode. But of course, you can do it manually as well. So after your users are well educated, then you can turn on the policy, and that's where you really start to block things. So you will not allow users to do something. Of course, depends on your policy configuration. All right, I hope it makes sense. I hope it was clear how the policy is created. And you can see here one of the what may confuse a bit with DLP. There are so many integrations, so you need to know about information types. There is also like Cloud Defender for cloud apps that you must also learn about if you want to use it in DLP. So many things get involved. That's what can make your your studying of DLP a bit complicated, because there are so many things get triggered after you start to like work with DLP and untangle it. All right, so let me go back for a moment. I showed you Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive. Let me just quickly show you some effects on the device level and instances. So if I click next, what do you want? Logon condition. Okay, great. I have a rule created. By the way, do you want? Do you still want? Let me cancel that. Will be quicker. Find new policy. Create new policy. Click custom again. Don't care much about names. Click next. And here I'm going to tick only one box against devices. So against devices, this one is called endpoint DLP. That's the keyword you may use to find the content. So here again, there's a number of conditions. Let me choose contains and SIT Nino as usual. At the same time, what's going to be the action? So actions, it is something that we need to separately take a look. So look at this, audit or restrict activities on device. Also, there is about H browser and website, but let's just take a look at the activities on the device. And here you may find a number of activities like upload to restricted cloud service domain or access from an allowed browser, paste to browsers, support the browsers. Copy to clipboard, that's the one I showed you in my demo before when I just showed you a DLP on the workstation. I tried to copy numbers from PowerPoint. Copy to removable USB, copy to network share, printing. And here you can choose if you just want to audit those events or you want to block it. So if you're going to block, like I did, you will see the message like I had. So there's a number of actions, and to be fair, they're like might just add more and more over time. So you may expect maybe after a couple of months, I don't know, months, years, you may expect to see more of those actions. That is endpoint DLP. I mean, endpoint DLP or DLP for devices. And the last one I would like to show you again, instances. This one is integrated with Defender for Cloud Apps, which again is a separate service. But here, what I can do, if I have this integration, I can apply some actions to my third-party applications. So Box, G Suite, Cisco WebEx, Dropbox, and Salesforce. Since I do have Salesforce only, there's one action on that Salesforce allows to send policy match digest to file owner. Yeah, so it will not block anything, but just notify the owner of the data of the file about SIT. All right, so we have 11 minutes left. Before I switch to, there are some questions, but not too many, I would say. Oh yeah, there are questions, but I think I need less than 11 minutes to answer them. So let me quickly show you one thing which is not really related to only DLP, but Defender for Cloud Apps. Defender for Cloud Apps, that's the service that has its own DLP as well. Maybe it will be integrated eventually with our primary DLP. Who knows? I can't promise you anything. It's not something that I can have a hands on. But if you look at the cloud apps at your security portal this time, again, I don't know about your background. Maybe you haven't seen this portal before. Maybe you don't have those licenses. So sorry for that. But I'm too limited in time to start from the beginning of the story. But just in case, we have the product Defender for Cloud Apps, which also has its own DLP as well. So it will monitor data in cloud applications. And with DLP, you may restrict some actions with this data. For example, if I say session policy, and let me say control is going to be control file download, and I can choose for which application. I can say that application equals to, let's find Salesforce, and I'm going to have context inspection with DLP. There's a built-in DLP, which they call legacy, or with our data classification service, where we really use our content, our Nina, our SATs, and I'm going to find my Nina here. And so here I can say block specific action, and the action is content download. So if I want to block downloads from Salesforce application or any other application that I integrated with my Enter ID, it is possible. So in that case, Defender for Cloud Apps will proxy your request to that application, and so it will be able to block some actions. It can be control file download, control file upload. It can be even block some activities like copy, print, copy, cut, and so forth. Again, it will take time to show that stuff, so I'm not really going to do all the details, but let me just very quick demo how it may look like. So look, if I open Power BI, it says me right away that this application is monitored. Okay, so let's keep it monitored. The downside, it takes a bit longer to open the application because now we have like it proxies the request through the Defender for Cloud Apps. So it takes a bit longer, usually not that long. Usually not that long. Okay, and now if I just want to do something like, let me just press Control C, which means copy this step. Nope. And it says action is blocked, and your organization doesn't allow you to do it. So it's not our DLP we discussed before, but that's also like DLP features in Defender for Cloud Apps, which is like give you some ideas what should you learn after the primary DLP. Again, I don't have much time to give you a lecture about Defender for Cloud Apps. That's why I'm going to switch back to slides. Sorry, because of I need to change a bit of monitors to my. Okay, so from the current slide. So we have the last slide, then last demo, and I will check your questions. So DLP can also give us alerts, and based on those alerts, you will have incidents that need to be investigated. That's where, again, it may get integrated with your XDR and Sentinel as SIEM system. I will quickly show you that in my next demo, and then it will be the last one. That will be the last one. So go back to the portal, Cloud Apps. So if I expand this time security portal and click on alerts and look at this. So I have some alert. Oh, that's from today, by the way. Alert, DLP policy, endpoint DLP match for the document, low severity. So I already have an alert from things I showed you before. And if that's not alert, of course, I may have incident based on that. Incident that we may want to investigate. So I can see artifacts, and by the way, if I have Copilot, which again is a different topic, Copilot for security, it will help me with investigation and so forth. But now we can see here there was a client machine, and this IP address, and this user Smith, and this file, and now we can start to investigate what's going on. Again, it goes beyond our topic, but just keep in mind that if you protect data, you may need to work together with your security operations because the violation of DLP policy, you may want to investigate, and also you must store somewhere the proof, which also can be some logs that security operations control. All right, so let me switch now to conclusion, and then I will answer your questions. So if you have them, I still have them. Data loss prevention, powerful data loss prevention solution that offers a range of features and benefits. So if we take trainable classifiers, for example, it will be machine learning or more static things based on SIT. And we create rules. And if there's a DLP, if there's a match between the classifier and what user is trying to do, trying to share, then you will get alert or it will take some actions, depends what we configure in our rule. Rules, if there was a match, then we can get an alert and incident for investigation. All right, so from here, I would like to I wonder why my screen is shared to duplication rather than extension. Now what I'd like to do, I would like to check your questions. And let me scroll all the way up and check your questions. The first was can't really understand anything. I'm not sure what you mean here. If you can clarify what you can't understand, I can clarify more. Does DLP imply the classified data worldwide or specific company information that holds that sensitive data? It's for your tenant. I'm not sure if what you mean here by imply the worldwide, but I mean, that's what you configure for your tenant. It's not something like Microsoft do it for everyone automatically, if I understand the question correct. It's subscription-based. I already answered this question. Where can I find it? Where can I find it after I fill out the form? My Gmail will share it. Yeah. Can should be recorded. Community. Is there a policy focused on extracting data to an external drive storage? Yes. Probably you asked this question before I show you endpoint DLP actions, and there was one action like when you drop data to removable storage. So yeah, there's an action of removable storage from corporate device using endpoint DLP. Can we have slides, please? Ask Surak. Looks like we're out of questions. Yeah, it's not too many questions. More like more about community, Discord, commentaries, and so forth. Not too many questions. So we have still 2 minutes. Oh, 1 minute. Sorry, not 1 minute. If any questions, new questions, let me know. I'm still here. Is it possible to have specific individual groups bypass policy? Not really. Not really. So what you can do, one second. Security, where's my right portal? Okay, for you, probably I can close that. Not really. So when you enable it, data information protection policies. When you create a policy, custom policy, click next. So here you specify users. If that's like, if you want to bypass, like for Exchange email, you can specify here a group of users, and you say who is going to be like M. Smith or whatever, and who is going to be the subject for this policy. And here you configure that we would like to allow overrides for this rule in this policy, but you cannot really say that that only these users can bypass. But what you can do, you may create separate policy, one policy with bypass that targets to several users, and another policy without bypass that targets to all users except those that you want to have bypass feature. That's what you can do. But when you configure user overrides here, there's no option to like choose the specific users. So I hope that's more or less clear. So there's no built-in like way to do it. I mean, a simple checkbox and choose users, but you can just create two policies and target to different group of users. And one policy will allow bypass, another policy will not allow bypass. Depends on your conditions, of course. You can even do it, sometimes you can do it even on the rule level, if that's like sender IP address is or something, then you can even sometimes you can add some conditions. It depends on depends what do you want, who's going to be the target. Sometimes you can even do it on the conditions. You can specify some conditions, but mostly it's like on a policy level. You just say that policy applies to specific users in the list, and then that's where you can enable override on the policy level, and then you get the second policy for other group of users. All right. So, no more questions. And to be fair, no more time. No more time. So then I will get back to the slide of conclusion, where I should tell you that thank you very much for your participation, that you spent 1 hour and 2 minutes together here. The most important that I usually say when I just finish everything, any of my sessions, do it, try it. Nothing can beat hands-on. If you would like to learn something, really understand something, you must do it. Yeah, it's nice to attend webinars, hear from someone, but from my perspective, it should be just some kind of motivation to try it yourself. And of course, if you want to learn about DLP, you must also learn about sensitive information types and data classification. And if you go deeper into DLP, you'll find that it touch different locations. And those different locations you also should understand. Yeah, of course, usually we understand how email works or SharePoint or OneDrive because we live that for years. But not everyone knows about Defender for Cloud Apps and what it can do. So there are so many integrations between DLP and other services. So it might be a really long journey just because of that. All right. So then, yeah. Oh, there's one question. If device is offline, the existing policy continues to enforce on existing files. Yeah, it will. It will enforce the policy, but of course, the device offline, then you will not be able to extract much from it. Yeah, maybe USB, but you will not be able to upload somewhere to some cloud. But yeah, it will be enforced. All right, so thank you very much. Good luck with your DLP journey, and don't forget that there's a large community where you can learn a lot. And so don't forget to join other sessions.
Thank you, Sergey, for the session. We had a good streak over there where we discussed most everything that we can include in a 1 hour. So I hope you guys were able to grasp it. I will share the presentation. Sergey, please to share the slides with me, or have you shared it or no? Okay, you can share
Okay,
it with me, and I will share with them in the community.
sure.
And I hope everybody was able to understand it and make use of it. It's the reason why we have the webinar is, as Sergey said, you to be using it. I hope you guys will use it and do it yourself. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for Sergey to taking the time and joining here, spending 1 hour and sharing all your knowledge. I really appreciate it, and I hope we'll see again in the community.
Sure. Always. Bye
Great.
bye.
Thank you everyone.